If you're a fan of our show and you've seen the episode entitled Top 10 Most Powerful Militaries in the World, then you already know which countries are regarded as packing superior military might. At the other end of the spectrum, however, are countries with very modest militaries that are not necessarily equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry that consumes a good chunk of their GDP. We thought it would be fun to take a closer look at countries that refrain from spending or are unable to spend large amounts of money on arming themselves in this episode of the Infographics show, Top 10 Weakest Militaries in the World. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so that you can be part of our notification squad. Number 10. The Bahamas. This small Caribbean country is made up of 700 islands and has a population of approximately 400,000 people, most of whom are the descendants of African slaves. The country doesn't have a standing army or an air force to speak of, with its navy, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, being tasked with protecting its people. The RBDF has around 1,600 men and women enlisted, belonging to 3 squadrons: the Commando Squadron, the Patrol Squadron, and the Air Wing. The country has 11 sea vessels patrolling its waters, while its Air Wing currently consists of just 3 aircraft. In 2014, the Bahamas' $49 million military budget was bolstered by a $232 million investment for what was known as the Sandy Bottom Project. The extra money was spent on deploying ships and aircraft to protect marine resources and to reduce the amount of smuggling, drug trafficking, and human trafficking in the area. Number 9. Central African Republic. This war-torn country has seen its fair share of internal strife, so one would think it should be endowed with a strong military. That's not the case, and its 4,500-person-strong Central African Armed Forces has been criticized not only for its lack of military prowess, but also for corruption, human rights violations, and general incompetency. Protecting its 4.7 million people are 4 T-55 main battle tanks, 4 aircraft, 2 helicopters, and 51 armored fighting vehicles. Where the FACA has failed, the United Nations has stepped in an attempt to bring about democratic freedoms and consolidate peace in the country. Number 8. The Gambia. This West African country, officially known as the Republic of the Gambia, is also no stranger to internal conflicts. It's reported that almost a third of its 1.8 million population live below the poverty line of $1.25 a day, which doesn't bode well for a strong military. Only 2,500 personnel make up the 2 arms of the Gambia military, the National Army and the Gambian Navy. Since the country's independence from the United Kingdom in 1965, there have been plenty of iterations of a military, only for coups and discord to unravel them. Currently, the Gambia National Army consists of 900 soldiers with a total of 12 armored cars. Many of its soldiers are deployed in other African nations as peacekeepers. In 2002, a Gambian Air Force was mulled over when the country bought a Sukhoi Su-25 attack jet, but similar to its unreliable army, it never really got off the ground. Gambia also has a small navy consisting of around 250 personnel. Without much of a budget, the navy has relied mostly on donations to update its fleet. In 2013, Taiwan donated 3 8-ton armed vessels to replace the Gambian Navy's somewhat aged ships. Number 7. Barbados. Barbados is a small island nation with a population of just about 278,000 people. Set up in 1979, its Barbados Defense Force is comprised of 3 components: the Barbados Regiment, Barbados Coast Guard, and the Barbados Cadet Corps. It's thought only around 1,000 people make up the BDF's entire personnel, patrolling the waters for signs of criminal activity and stationed on the island in case of internal conflicts. The country's air wing is said to have 1 Cessna 402C aircraft. While the Barbados has had to address few problems, in 2016 the People's Republic of China donated $3 million to the BDF on top of its $49 million defense budget. The money, however, was not to buy weapons, said the Chinese ambassador to Barbados, but rather for disaster mitigation. Number 6. Somalia. Somalia has a population of over 12 million and the longest coastline on the African mainland. While its military is far stronger than our number 7 choice, Barbados, in terms of population and constant internal conflicts, Somalia has a very weak military. The Somali National Armed Forces is made up of around 12,000 active soldiers, with 24,000 acting as reserves. On land, it has 140 tanks and 430 armored fighting vehicles. Its air force was all but non-existent until, in 2012, Italy said it would help Somalia rebuild it. Somalia's navy also suffered massive disintegration at the end of the 20th century, but in 2012 the United Arab Emirates donated $1 million to help strengthen it. Somalia's defense budget is a meager $58 million. Number 5. Luxembourg. You'd be right in thinking that a landlocked country not even 1,000 square miles in size in a relatively peaceful area of Western Europe wouldn't need a very powerful military. The Luxembourg army might be one of the most restful places to work. With about 400 soldiers, 100 of whom are civilians, the army still has a budget of $369 million. this figure might emphasize the small sum the Somalian government spends on its much larger military. Still, this modest army fought in 2 world wars and the Korean War. Its air force consists of 17 Boeing E-3 Sentry aircraft and 1 Airbus A400M Atlas. Number 4. Tonga. Situated in the South Pacific Ocean about 700 miles from Fiji, Tonga's 169 islands are populated by around 103,000 people. Its defense budget is almost $5 million, about 0.9% of its GDP. The country's military, His Majesty's Armed Forces, has about 700 active personnel. Nonetheless, this small army fought with New Zealand's Expeditionary Force in the First World War and has also recently been deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. Its maritime force of 3 patrol boats and a tanker is mostly concerned with fishing zone violations and enforcing border regulations. The air wing has 2 small aircraft. Number 3. Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua and Barbuda is a twin island in the Caribbean with a population of 91,000. Its Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force receives a budget of $10 million and has a 245-strong personnel. Similar to other island nations featured in this show, the military is tasked mainly with reducing criminality on the high seas. In total, it has 7 active boats working as part of the Coast Guard. The ABDF might be one of the smallest militaries in the world, but it was still deployed in Haiti, Grenada, and Trinidad in the recent past to deal with conflicts there. Number 2. St. Kitts and Nevis. This 2-island country in the West Indies is home to around 55,000 people, and 300 of them work in the country's military. The St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force infantry and maritime units have the job of dealing with internal strife and policing the local waters. The Coast Guard has 1 boat donated by the United States. The army is so small that in 2016, the St. Kitts and Nevis Observer reported the enlistment of just 28 new recruits. The National Security Minister was quoted as saying, "In the context of our small country, we have to make a very conscious effort to ensure that we are doing our part." Number 1. The countries with no military. 22 countries have no military at all, nor do they even have defense budgets. We're adding them to the list, however, as they do have a defense of some sort. Iceland, for example, has no military, but it has a long pact with the strongest military in the world, the USA, in which the latter offers protection. It also has a militarized police force and a peacekeeping force. Monaco also has no military, but relies on the world's 5th strongest military, France, for protection. The list of countries without a military also includes Costa Rica, Liechtenstein, Samoa, and Panama. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we would love to hear your thoughts about this list in the comment section. There are countries we didn't include that certainly could have been here, countries with meager military budgets and few personnel, but also countries with what might be considered a weak military in view of current crises and the risk of internal and external conflict. Feel free to tell us which countries you think we should have added. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, please consider heading over to our Patreon. We are currently raising money to hire more writers so that we can continue bringing you this bi-weekly show.